Welcome to Brainwaves and Breakthroughs.
All right, let's kick off another deep dive. This time, it's all about beer.
I love it.
But we're going beyond your typical bar trivia here.
Okay.
We dug into online articles,
Interesting.
delved into some history on Wikipedia,
Yeah.
and even found some gems on a brewery blog.
Nice.
So,
Well, I'm excited.
get ready, because you're going to walk away from this deep dive with
Yeah.
some serious conversation starters,
Hmm.
historical insights you probably didn't know,
Okay.
and maybe we'll even bust a few beer myths along the way.
Awesome. I'm all for myth busting. You know, what I find fascinating about beer is how its story really reflects humanity's own.
Huh.
We're not just looking at what beer is,
Right.
but how it became this worldwide thing,
Yeah.
and how it's so tied up in different cultures.
It's true. It's like almost every culture has some kind of beer tradition.
It really is.
Okay, first up,
Mhm.
let's break down some assumptions.
Okay.
When you think top beer drinking nation, who comes to mind?
I mean, Germany, right?
Right. Or maybe Ireland.
Yeah. Those are the usual suspects.
But our sources had a different story.
Huh?
Turns out the Czech Republic actually drinks the most beer per person.
Oh, wow. Really? That's interesting.
I know, right? Total surprise.
It makes you realize how many assumptions we have.
Yeah, for sure.
But it also kind of makes sense when you dig a little deeper.
How so?
Well, the Czech Republic has this long history of brewing, like centuries of tradition. It's a part of their culture,
I guess you could say it's in their DNA.
Exactly.
Huh.
And when you look at overall consumption, not just per person,
Okay.
China actually takes the lead.
That makes sense with their huge population.
Right to numbers game. But speaking of surprises,
Okay.
did you know that in some countries, you can actually order a beer at McDonald's?
At McDonald's.
Yep. We're talking South Korea, Germany, Spain, Portugal.
No way. I mean, that's so different from the American McDonald's experience.
It is, right?
You think of burgers and fries,
Yeah.
not beer.
Definitely a cultural difference.
It makes you wonder how their marketing's different.
Oh, for sure. And how it impacts social gatherings even. It's really interesting to think about.
That's a great point. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about a company that took a really innovative and sustainable approach. Heineken.
Heineken, what did they do?
Back in the 60s, they actually designed their bottles to be repurposed as building bricks.
As bricks. Seriously.
I know, right? I was blown away when I read that.
Were they actually used for construction?
They were. It was a way to tackle waste.
Wow.
And it gave people affordable building materials, especially in places where resources were limited.
That's brilliant.
It makes you think about how even a simple beer bottle can have a second life.
Absolutely. And it's so relevant today with the focus on sustainability.
So true. Okay, this next fact is going to sound a little crazy. Ready for it?
Hit me with it.
In the early 2000s, some elementary schools in Belgium.
Elementary schools.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were serving low-alcohol beer to their students
Whoa, what?
as a healthier alternative to soda.
No way. That's pretty surprising.
I know, right? Definitely raised my eyebrows when I read that.
But I guess we have to think about it from their cultural perspective.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
in Belgium and some other European countries, they have a different approach to introducing low alcohol drinks at a younger age,
Yeah.
especially in a controlled environment.
I see.
Maybe it's seen as a way to promote responsible drinking habits later on.
That's an interesting way to look at it. It really highlights how ingrained these attitudes toward alcohol can be.
Absolutely. They influence everything. What we drink, where we drink it, how we drink it.
It's all connected. Now, let's rewind way back to the origins of brewing.
Okay, let's go back in time.
Prepare to be surprised, because it turns out that in ancient Egypt, women were the primary brewers.
Women. Really?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
right. It really challenges the image of brewing being a male-dominated field.
It totally does. So how did that shift happen? Like, how did it become so male-centric?
It's a long process, but basically for centuries, women were the ones passing down brewing knowledge through generations.
Ah, I see.
But as brewing became more industrialized,
Yeah.
we start to see that shift toward men.
It's a shame that so much of that knowledge and tradition got pushed aside.
Absolutely. But it's important to remember that for a long time, women were the masters of beer.
Agreed. So let's go even further back,
Yep.
like to the very beginning.
All the way.
Our sources say that beer production could date back to 3500 BC.
Wow.
in western Iran.
That's incredible. Beer has been around for thousands of years.
It boggles the mind.
What were those early beers like? Do we know?
Well, before the 13th century, most beers were flavored with a mix of herbs and spices called Groot.
Groot.
Yeah, so they probably didn't taste much like the beers we know today.
Interesting. And when did hops come into the picture?
Hops were a game changer. They brought that bitterness we associate with beer, those lovely aromas,
Yeah.
and they were a natural preservative.
Oh, so that was key for exporting beer on a larger scale.
Exactly. It's hard to imagine a world without hops, isn't it?
That's true. We can thank hops for all those amazing beer styles we have now, from light lagers to hoppy IPAs.
So true. But there's another key player in the beer world we can't forget. Yeast.
Yeast. Those little guys are the ones that make the magic happen, right?
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of fermentation. You see, yeast converts the sugars into alcohol, but it does so much more than that.
What do you mean?
Well, different yeast strains create different flavor profiles. So you get those fruity esters in an ale, or spicy phenols in some Belgian beers. It's amazing.
So that's how we get all these different types of beer. Lagers, ales, stouts.
Exactly. It's all about those tiny yeasts.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. It's like a whole world of microbiology in every glass.
It really is. And speaking of evolution in the beer world,
Okay.
we can't forget about the rise of craft beer.
Oh, yeah, craft beer is huge now.
This is a real game changer.
You see these little breweries popping up everywhere, experimenting with new ingredients, new techniques, new styles. It's really exciting.
Absolutely. They're pushing the boundaries of what beer can be.
It's like a whole new world of beer is opening up.
And it's not just about the beer itself.
That's right.
These craft breweries are becoming important parts of their communities.
Yeah, they're like gathering spots and they support local economies.
Take fostering a sense of community.
It's amazing how beer can bring people together.
It's a beautiful thing.
All right, we're going to take a quick pause here.
Okay.
But when we come back, we'll delve even deeper into the social and cultural impact of beer. Why is it such a beloved beverage worldwide?
Sounds good.
And we're back, diving deeper into the world of beer. Before the break, we were talking about craft breweries and how they're more than just places to grab a beer. They're really becoming like community centers.
Totally. They have that vibe, don't they? Live music, events.
Yeah.
You meet people there.
It's true. It's like beer is the social glue.
Yeah.
You know, one of our sources actually talked about how beer is so often a part of celebrations, gatherings, even religious rituals in some cultures. Like, think about Oktoberfest in Germany.
Oh, of course.
Or those classic Irish pubs packed with people enjoying their Guinness.
Yeah, it's like a ritual almost.
Right. It's not just those big events, though. Even just grabbing a beer after work with colleagues or catching up with friends at the local pub, it creates this sense of connection.
It's true. Even those everyday moments, beer makes them feel a little special.
It's like a universal language, kind of. Breaks down barriers.
Totally. You can connect with anyone over a beer.
You know, one of our sources actually said that beer is the most popular drink in the world.
Wow, really?
Worldwide.
I mean, it makes sense when you think about it.
I guess so.
It's everywhere.
But why do you think it holds that top spot? What sets beer apart from other alcoholic drinks?
Well, for one, I think it's the variety. You've got everything from light lagers to rich stouts.
You're right. There's a beer out there for every taste.
Exactly. You can always try something new, experiment a little.
That's part of the fun.
And I think compared to wine or spirits, beer is just more, I don't know, approachable.
I see what you mean.
It's casual. You can enjoy it with friends without needing to be a big expert.
No pretense with beer.
Exactly. It's all about enjoying the moment.
So we've talked about craft breweries boosting local economies and revitalizing neighborhoods. Our sources even pointed out how they can attract tourism and create jobs.
Oh, definitely. They become like landmarks, these breweries.
Right. And people travel to experience different beer cultures.
It's like its own little world, the craft beer scene.
I love that. It seems like beer is more than just a drink then, right? It's this whole cultural phenomenon.
You got it, with a rich history.
Yeah.
And it's still evolving, shaping the way we connect with each other.
It really is. You know, there was another point I found interesting. We talked about social occasions, but our sources also mention beer's connection to religion and spirituality.
Oh, that's right. It goes way back.
Can you tell us more about that?
Well, in ancient cultures, beer was often seen as sacred. Like they'd offer it to the gods, use it in ceremonies. In Mesopotamia, they even had a goddess of brewing,
A goddess of brewing.
Ninkasi. They believed she gave them beer.
That's pretty cool.
It shows how beer was more than just a drink to them. It was spiritual.
So it's part of their beliefs and tradition.
Exactly. And even today, some religious orders still brew beer, you know?
It's amazing how deeply beer is woven into human history.
It really is. It's something to think about the next time you're enjoying a beer, all that history behind it.
I know, it gives you a new appreciation. Unfortunately, we're running short on time for this segment.
Oh, man. All right, back for one last round in our beer deep dive.
I feel like I could use a cold one after all this beer talk.
Me too. We've covered a lot. Where should we even begin with a recap?
It's tough to pick. I mean, that stat about the Czech Republic being the top beer drinkers per person, that really busted some myths for me. I always thought it was Germany.
Same here. Just shows how much we assume, you know.
And then finding out you can get a beer at McDonald's in some countries still blows my mind.
I know, right? Burgers and beer. Who would have thought?
It makes you realize how different our ideas about beer can be.
For sure. And speaking of different ideas, remember those Belgian elementary schools?
Oh, serving beer to the kids.
Yeah, that one definitely got a reaction. It's a good reminder that what seems strange to us might be totally normal somewhere else.
Definitely. Different cultures, different perspectives.
Exactly. But one thing that's universal,
What's that?
women being the original brewers. I mean, in ancient Egypt, women were the beer experts.
That was a huge takeaway for me, too. Like, we think of brewing as this guy thing, but it wasn't always that way.
It's amazing to think about those women brewing beer thousands of years ago.
And the fact that beer has been around that long, incredible.
From ancient times to those trendy craft breweries, beer has come a long way.
And speaking of craft beer, those are really shaking things up.
They are. Those brewers are so creative, coming up with all these new styles and flavors.
And they're not just making beer, they're building communities.
Totally. It's all about local, fresh ingredients and supporting your neighborhood.
Mm.
It feels good to drink a beer that's made with care, you know?
Absolutely. I think we've learned that beer is more than just a drink. It's this whole cultural experience.
So much history, so much community, so much flavor.
Well said. I hope our deep dive has inspired you to learn more about your favorite brews.
Next time you crack open a cold one, take a second to appreciate all the people and traditions that made that beer possible.
Cheers to that. And remember, everyone, always drink responsibly. Explore those different styles, try new things, and enjoy the amazing world of beer.
Until next time.